Martinelli gets Usmakabyle following that pause right back into this match. We've seen it from the three-time world champ time and time again. You can't count him out. And he's halved this deficit here, putting all of the pressure on Axe in this final 15, Wes, to hold on to these 3 points.
Yeah, it was a good ball in towards Martinelli's feet. He's not the weakest physical specimen, but he is one of the quickest. You can see almost a little bit of almost like a speed boost just to get out of his feet. Gives Axe something to think about in the final 15 in-game minutes. And we've seen it before from Usmakabyle. He has championship pedigree running. Pedigree here today.
Well, there are a few bodies forward there. For fans of the man hoping to join 2 of his countrymen at the World Finals. Of course, we have Takaki back in FC Inter qualifying for the console. We also had double Japan qualifiers back then with Goo Games, Goo 038 Games, a fun in-game name to say when you're a commentator. Reinaguchi, if I remember correctly, is his name that we decided was a bit easier to pronounce.
Yeah, it's far easier.
Qualifying for the mobile side. So Japan starting a little bit slow when it comes to these club event finals, but a start. Here, I mean, as things stand, would be joining us, Usmakabyle.
It was covered indeed. It certainly did. We got a perfect angle of it there. It looked like it certainly was.
We always say, though, that we're, especially with iterations of this competition in the past, we wish players would take that risk a bit more, because oftentimes you can be rewarded with it. That time, David Raya just takes too big of a step. We saw it then, but it comes from Axe just seeing that he's in the final third, in and around the box. Let's take a strike on. Let's ask questions of the defense. So many times in the past, we were wishing these players stopped looking for the perfect opportunity. We're seeing it put into place there by Axe, and, well, it's rewarded by 3 points.
Yeah, and had it not been for that save just before half time, it could have been 3.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not through, I would say, luck or the 2 goals were look. Even towards the 90th minute, he was still looking to try and score a third, and was looking to actually not try and game manage the clock out, which we both looked at each other and we were like, "Ooh, not too sure whether that's the right move." But he didn't quite. He didn't have a negative as a result of that. Instead, it was a positive of taking all 3 points. But again, that Martinelli goal just after that pause. Again, it's smart to get the ball into Martinelli, into his feet, use a little bit of that physicality, and then use the pace to get away from the defender. It's a good finish from Usmakabyle, but it wasn't enough.
It was not enough, and it's interesting to see Axe really want to go for the jugular at the end, Semra, because he could have taken it to the corner, but still comes away unscathed, and 3 points.
Axe chopping up Usmakabyle to bits, something we weren't exactly
She's on
expecting
form
to see.
today. She's on
Thank
form.
you. Don't jinx it, man. Don't jinx it. It's still got half of the day left to go. But thank you. I appreciate that. So where were we? Yes, Axe chopping up Usmakabyle into bits when we least expected it. After that first half, I thought we were living in a parallel universe where Usmakabyle not taking a single shot or none on target after 45 minutes. In-game play. I mean, that's almost unheard of.
You thought the graphic was the wrong way around, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a little bit like, what's going on here, right? Am I reading this right? I'm losing my Now, it keeps things very interesting in terms of how the table is lining up, because less pressure for MelianTheKing, who is up. Of 3 points with just 2 matches left to go after that. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, actually.
It doesn't, and it speaks to how amazing this round robin format is in these club event finals, but also how true it was that we said and described this as a group of death, because so far we've kind of seen everyone play against each other, and everyone apart from Melian, who's up next against Irma, be able to take results against each other, take goals, formulate attacks and pushes. And so far it looks like there's at least 3 in the console side that can be.
Yeah, and that Melian, or if he was able to come out with that result in the next game, it really does open it up to last game shootouts for everybody. Just to cast your eye just down to the bottom of the table, of course, in the other mobile game that we didn't see, Mr. Tomboy and Lamtti shared the points in a 0-0 draw. So
no, the
really?
game hasn't finished.
Oh, is it not? Oh, is that a latest score?
Yeah. So just hold your horses there,
it's okay.
my man.
Thankfully,
so
Sabra, you corrected me, and that is a latest score.
We are waiting.
Got you.
I do, however, believe that that's not exactly how it's going to look in a moment's time.
Okay.
So
well,
for now,
let's
just put that one on the side. Let's just continue to focus on what's going on in the world of console, because now all of a sudden, Irma, your guy, he's got a brilliant opportunity to move into pole position because he's playing next, and seeing what just happened with Usmakabyle crashing and burning. I mean, maybe not really, but still, just felt like saying
You can
that.
talk to him afterwards. He's nothing to do with us. We didn't say that.
No, but it's great to see that. So far, we haven't had any draws. It's been wins all around, but they've been sharing the wins. So no one's been able to pick up 2 on the bounce. It's been either a win or a defeat so far. So it is very reminiscent of what we saw in that last finals, just how incredibly difficult it is to actually
to get in front, to take
get
a
in
lead,
front, or to decide who's going to be the favourite in a match, or who's going to be overly, I don't know.
Take the assertion and really.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Taking the initiative, the assertion.
For me, I know you said that kind of takes the pressure off of Melian, but for me, I think Irma is watching that result just then with Axe taking 3 points away from Usmakabyle. I think Irma's looking at Usmakabyle as the person that he's worried about the most elsewhere in this group. And I think Melian knows now that Irma knows. He knows what Irma knows. So he's looking at Irma, thinking what he's thinking, and then this is...
We're trying to make permutations based on people's emotions and feelings. You know, this
is kind of in terms of where me and Harry are quite similar in terms of like kind of the feeling as a gamer.
Sure.
Is that this is exactly what you'd be going through in this type of environment. You'd be going, okay, well, the favourite's just lost points. Does that mean the guy that beat him's better than that guy? Or what? All of these different kind of maps, you'll be kind of sat there with a big board, tying red string together, going, well, this is what this actually means. When actually, in the reality, it's just a case that they've lined up, they've gone at each other, Axe has come out the winner. Again, I quite agree with you, is that Irma might be looking at that and kind of licking his lips to say, well, okay, well, if Usma's dropped some points there, we might be all right.
Harry's got his finger wagging.
To nerd out a little bit, for those mathematics boffins at home, the term is transitive property.
Oh, God,
so just because A is more than B,
doesn't
B
equal C or something,
I don't think transitive property applies in this particular scenario.
Certainly not.
So
certainly not.
That's why we love the drama. We love this type of scenario. I will say the psychology of it is definitely in favour of Irma, knowing that in his brain, his biggest rival has just dropped 3 points.
Right.
Because he would have expected Usmakabyle to clear out the group.
Well, I
apart from
suppose that's
himself.
the thing. Everyone knows that everyone is for the taking now. There is no one who is undefeatable, who is...
Everyone's lost their shield, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's lost that air of invincibility, and now it's a case that all bets are off.
Yes.
Everybody is now on the table to be beaten, because, of course, you cast your mind back to the first game of the day for Irma. He edged out Axe 3-2. So in his brain, he'll be saying, well, I beat that guy 3-2, but he's just beat Usmakabyle 2-1. So, and again, that's where you'll start to get into gamer brain, where you'll be going, well, as you said, A plus B does not equal C. So I think that's where we're kind of going to look at this game that's coming up soon. And I think that's where the intrigue comes into it. You know, we don't really need to sell it any more than we already have, because the group table is doing that for us. Yeah. You could put that graphic up for about 10 minutes and just leave it there, and people go, ooh, that's a big game between those two.
Throw all formula out the window. Transitive property is not a thing. Here.
Tell you what is a thing? Gamer brain.
Yes.
That was the one thing that just jumped out at me from all of that magnificent speech that you gave us. So Irma is taking on MelianTheKing next. MelianTheKing, as we said, in the group, the only one yet to pick up any points. So this is a pivotal one, because if Irma does get those 3 points, then he's well on his way to reaching the grand finale later on this afternoon. But if Melian does manage to get those 3 points, a victory, that means that we've got it even Stevens across the board. So it could come down to goal difference. It could go down to points, obviously with 2 more matches after that. A draw could also throw a spanner into the works. I mean, there's so many different ways that this can pan out that it's quite difficult to actually predict. But based on how the day has been evolving thus far, what kind of fixture do you expect to see between the two of them?
I think Wes described this at the top of the show between Irma and Melian as the sleeper game.
That's right, you did say that.
And I noted it down because of the fact that I agreed, but also I wanted to bring it up again after the results had come in. And now we've seen the results leading up to this match. I think it does lead up to, when you add all the other permutations, all the transitive properties, all the stuff we've just kind of blabbered on about, I think it does lead itself to be maybe the headline game of the day, the one that could make or break either of these two men's success here today.
Yeah, it certainly could. It has all of the makings of a classic, because again, we know that Irma can score goals. We know that how Irma can perform. We've seen Melian perform in previous tournaments and iterations of the game, but how is he going to perform here? Granted, you could potentially look at a 6-1 loss and say, hey, he's not very good. But the reality is that he came up against Usmakabyle, who's, as we said, he's kind of on the Mount Rushmore of eFootball esports. It kind of is almost, you can kind of maybe disregard that game now and just say, okay then, Melian, let's see what you've got. Because this is where he now needs to perform, because, again, if he doesn't win, he then leaves himself needing to win in his final game and then hope results potentially go his way. There's so many, as you said, there's so many permutations and different ways that this can go, that the reality is that you just need to wait for the results to come in and see which way it goes, because quite frankly, it could end up in so many different. We know that Irma can score. It really can. We know
when it comes to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say we love our boffins.
Yeah, the boffins,
because the people in the back in charge of the tiebreakers, the rules.
What is a boffin? For those of us who don't come from England,
it's a very smart individual who looks at who is. But the reality is that he came well versed in subjects. So
slang for expert.
Yeah. So when we say the boffins, we're saying that we've got some really intelligent people who are looking after the nuts and kind of is almost, you can kind of maybe disregard that. Yeah, basically.
Not quite sure. I'm not sure you quite get exactly what a boffin is, because definitely does not apply to me. I just sit here and I shout at games.
Okay, well, get ready, because you're about to start shouting even more. We're going to have to put a pin in it whenever it comes to the mobile situation at present. So do bear with us. Stay on the edge of your seats, because I promise you, when we do finally get that result, it's going to be a rather fascinating one. So for now, however, we're going to stay with the console mode of play. So let's go ahead and get ready for Irma taking on MelianTheKing.
Hey guys, I'm Irma from Romania, representing the Europe and Africa region in the CEST finals. For me, it is an honor to be among the top 4 in the world in console platform, and I will give my best to win the finals and represent Arsenal at the World Finals in Tokyo. I look forward to your supports and let's go Gunners!
Milan, conocido como MelianTheKing, soy argentino, estaré representando a la región de América en este torneo. La verdad estoy muy contento, muy feliz de poder haber llegado hacia estas instancias y de poder representar al Arsenal en este día. Espero poder dar lo mejor de mí en este torneo. Me he estado preparando mucho a lo largo de todos estos días para conseguir el título y para conseguir ese ansiado cupo hacia el Mundial de Japón. Los espero a todos en la transmisión apoyándome. Vamos por más.
Yeah, thanks to Semra. But again, we'll have to re-explain what a boffin is, because if she's using me as an example, she's not got it.
Yeah, she's not got it yet.
Irma versus Melian. Looking at the lay of the land in the console group, knowing that one side needs more than the other, especially when the one that's in the driver's seat is arguably the favourite in Irma. It just needs it. It lends itself to this occasion, doesn't it? We've just seen it in the previous game where Axe took 3 points in a 2-1 victory against Usmakabyle. That was, again, an underdog coming through. We will just have to see if that can happen again. For now, though, we do have a chance with Irma starting strongly in this Arsenal home strip. Jesus on the turn is taken down, actually. And this will be a free kick to start the game for the Romanian. I'm glad there's a pause, Wes, because we haven't had a chance really to introduce the players yet. MelianTheKing, representing the Americas region, from Argentina, 22 years old. Used Arsenal when he won the eFootball Open back in 2021. A world champion.
Preeti, kahan hai tu? You're gonna miss the flight.
Yeah, I'm boarding.
Trying to think how old he would have been. What year is it again? 24?
24, so what, 18, 19?
Yeah, 18, 19. So he started his career quite well. Has to come up against Irma, who we've seen in seasons previous of this competition, has captained clubs at this level to try and qualify for the World Finals. Free kick then to Irma, played short to Eddie Nketiah, onto his right foot, and that is an absolute bullet. I think everyone in the ground was expecting the free kick to go direct. No one picked up Nketiah, and Irma makes Melian pay. It's 1-0 to the Romanian.
This is why I enjoy watching Irma so much. He's a little bit of a throwback in terms of some of the tactics that he'll use. Rather than going for a shot on goal or rather trying to put it under the wall, so he plays it one to the left, takes one touch and then slams it with Eddie Nketiah. Yeah, that's a perfect reaction shot.
That's the best one
It's
yet.
just, because it's that type of hit. As soon as it's hit, it stays hit. It doesn't matter.
Well.
As the ball goes forward, though, looking for Martinelli, but MelianTheKing, as we'll just cast a mind over to him. You talk about South America, they pump out brilliant eFootball players across that region. And he certainly fits that bill. Although in the opening 5 in-game minutes, he finds himself a goal down here.
Yeah, seen many early goals here at the Arsenal FC Club Event Finals. You're right, the Americas region, very, very strong. We saw all the way back in Barcelona to kick off these club events. 2 qualifiers from the Americas, the Casa on mobile from the USA and Futi Facil from Brazil. As Melian gets his first real foray forward onto the board. A very, very strong region, you're right, Wes. We have, of course, Callahard joining them from AC Milan. He's from Mexico. It's a region that does tend to breed success in this particular title.
There's been a litany over the years of Argentinians, Brazilians, in terms of Central America, Mexicans. There's, again, a litany of players that, you know, viewers will have no doubt seen over the years, and this is the latest product here.
Jesus, Havertz, that's some Nice one-touch build-up from MelianTheKing, who started to settle into the occasion a little bit more now, following that Nketiah goal after just 5 in-game minutes. Irma's chance to build now. Odegaard can't beat Saliba. Look out for Melian's attack here, but that's some good defending by Gabriel. Likewise on the other side, and we'll try Wes to, I don't want to call it bias, but we do tend to romanticise Irma's career because, again, we have been able to follow his journey since the start, really. It really was a fairy tale couple of years he had on national team duty when we really first started paying attention to him, and it was because of those performances he graduated to this competition. Managed to get himself on a club roster, but has some defending to do as Melian comes forward. Graduated from that to captaining AS Roma for, I think, a couple of seasons. It really has come through the ranks, and we've been there every step of the way. It's been fun to watch for sure. Jesus coming forward now for the Romanian. Good defending though since the goal from MelianTheKing.
Yeah, I mean, you are quite right. You know, it has been almost a little bit of a finishing score for Irma in terms of what we have seen. As Jesus plays it in towards Nketiah. Nketiah back to Jesus. It's deflected back into the path of Nketiah. But you are quite right. In terms of Melian, he's going to need to find a goal fairly quickly in this game just to give himself a little bit of confidence.
On the ball now, though. Havertz, though, dispossessed, and you're right. The longer it stays 1-0, I guess there is always that chance to get that foothold back, whether it be in this first half, which is soon coming to an end, or in that second half, but you just have to wonder how long he can maintain that defensive concentration. Those concentration levels are, they have to be paramount for very long periods. These are long days. It may not seem like it because, I mean, it's a whole different can of worms we're opening up with this type of conversation, but just because it's not physical activity doesn't mean the concentration levels don't drain you out here in the esports world. Havertz now for MelianTheKing. Odegaard outside the box now, inside to Gabriel Martinelli. Oh, looked inviting, but the strike did not have the conviction to beat the first man. Potentially another chance as the second half is looming. I think the referee will blow his whistle to make sure that the next action will be in that second half, Wes. 1-0 to Irma following that goal.
Yeah, it looks as though Irma's maybe taking a little bit of a page out of the playbook of some of the mobile players, where he's got a goal ahead, and the minute that ball touches his defenders or back line, he's looking for second ball winners going long down the field. So be one to keep your eye out on. If you're Melian, you're going to look to try and maybe keep the ball and try and keep it on the ground, on the deck, as it were. But I think at the moment, I think Irma's game plan is I have a goal lead and the points are more valuable than the goals.
Well, look out for Melian starting the second half off, attacking that right-hand side. That right-hand goal is going to be the goal we need to see the action in if Melian wants to keep his group stage hopes alive. Virtually, anyway. Again, we'll leave that up to the boffins, but to keep it within his own hands. Goals need to be going in on that side of the screen. Irma, though, it's as you were. As things stand, Melian would be at the bottom of that group. Trossard here for Irma. Smith Rowe back to Trossard. Oh! Some power to that strike. Ramsdale matched it at his near post.
Yeah, certainly stung the hands to that of Aaron Ramsdale. We see the ball just bouncing around just a little bit. Good little play back there. Good one to get it out the feet. It's a big save there from Aaron Ramsdale. Trossard trying his best there to double the lead for Irma.
Corner to Irma. Towards the big frame of Nketiah. Looking to win those aerial duels. Smith Rowe. Can't beat Ben White there for Melian. And I think you're right, Wes. Irma is definitely looking to try and get those runners upfield. He's thinking second ball. He's thinking trying to get that territory in his favour. And it's often we see when these types of game plans are put into effect, it can be so difficult for the opponent to just get the football back in his possession.
Yeah, it's a bit of a reductive form of a game plan, but it's effective as he gets the ball into Odegaard again.
Smith Rowe searching ball for the run of Jesus. We're approaching the hour mark now in game.
The attendance for this match was 62.
Irma 1, Melian 0. It's been one-way traffic so far in this second half. Can Melian just keep possession? Can he get some kind of play happening? Martinelli to the feet of Gabriel Jesus again, cut out by Saliba. Long ball towards Nketiah, that's a vital intervention. Melian with the ball now. He wanted him to take a bit more care of this in possession. He's done so far, and now Kai Havertz inside Saliba, and it was from quite a way away, Wes, but that'll be something that gives Irma something to think about. He's saying, I will go for goal. I get that little bit of space.
Yeah, it just didn't quite have enough power on it, but it was enough to force a save from the goalkeeper. But Melian not really had the level of chances that we've seen across this competition, though. Here's Jesus. Gabriel will clear it away. Well, it's back towards Martinelli. Ben White will clear it again, and as we've seen, Irma just trying to almost skip out the midfield portion of his game plan. And he's just looking to, as we said, keep the ball. You know, it's almost like a new form or a new age form of game management, is to just keep the ball in place. The clock ticks over. It's not necessarily grabbing the ball and playing for the corners. It's just instead you're just keeping the ball alive and keeping it as far away from your goal as possible.
So far, so good for the Romanian, and one extra benefit of keeping the ball in play as it will finally trickle out is that no substitutes available to be brought in by his opponent. Now the pause will come in after what was a lengthy period of time, period of play, where no reinforcements able to come in for Melian. Now he can put his plan B into place, but you just have to think about how much time he's really got left. I think it's about 12 in-game minutes, less than, plus stoppages. Just puts all that pressure back on the other side.
Yeah, it is a very interesting one, to say the least, between these two. And you're quite right, that kind of magical period that we talk about, anywhere between 60 and 70 minutes, where we traditionally see substitutes that can really make differences and impacts in the game, that period's now gone. Again, it's going to be about ball retention, and it's going to be about using it correctly. If you're Melian, you're going to need to find your ground passes. You need to find them quite quickly and quite accurately, because otherwise, if that ball gets gobbled up by Irma's defence, there's only one place it's going right back down the field.
Absolutely. I'm just curious, Wes. I'm very curious, because obviously we spoke a little bit about the competition at the goalkeeper position for Arsenal. We've seen Usmakabyle go for David Raya. Seems like the general consensus wants to be you want Ramsdale in there. And I'm trying to think about why that might be as we get play underway once more. Melian needing a goal in these next 10 or so in game. I'm just trying to think about what kind of trending cards and trending items they've been that might suit one more than the other, as Irma looks to try and put this one to bed but can't do so.
Substitutions taking place.
It's just something to keep an eye on throughout the club finals here. Now Melian. It looked like he was going to build something. Jesus for Irma. Is able to give chase, but longer this ball stays out of the feet and, well, stays up the pitch, as Ramsdale is the one who has to come up for Melian. The longer it's looking like Irma will stay on the top of the console group stage, as we just saw in that live group table. And I think, Wes, this result, as things stand, would see him into that final later on. Again, we'll leave that up to the Boffins, but it's looking more and more likely unless Melian can fashion some kind of response. Martinelli, though, for Irma,
There will be 1 minute added
he's given
time.
the ball away to Smith Rowe. It has to be now. Saka gets on the end of a great ball. Where's that one going? It's out for a corner. One last throw of the dice. That was as dangerous as Melian has been. No nonsense, one touch, and that really could have been dangerous. Has a corner still to defend. Does Irma, and it has to be now for Melian. It has to come from this. Gabriel knocks it on. Ben White with the header. Nketiah! Oh, it's wrong side of the post. And that could have been anywhere. But it's the right side of the post for Irma. It gets the 3 points, Wes, but at the end, that was not convincing.
That was on a knife edge right at the end there, in between the deflection that could have gone anywhere, then in between the gilt edge chance from the corner. Oh, that could have gone anywhere. Could have gone absolutely anywhere. But as you said, for the right side of the post for Irma is the wrong side of the post for Melian. And as the old saying goes, it was 1-0 to the Arsenal.
That it was. I mean, Irma, we heard from him pre-game, said it's an honour to be representing Arsenal. So I just put my throat back in to my body. It is an honour. He always takes great pride in the clubs he represents. It's been the same with Roma, same with previous clubs he's represented in this type of competition. Puts his heart and soul into every single club that he represents. And you can see he's able to utilise this Arsenal squad in-game into a way that just does suit the play style of the club. Able to use the likes of Nketiah, Ødegaard, especially his passing, to set up his teammates. I mean, a great finish from Nketiah, caught everyone sleeping from the free kick, and from then, solid passing, solid territory. Melian never really, until the 90th minute, had a chance.
Yeah, it was just rear guard. Of what we've kind of come to know about Irma, in the sense of, if you want a player to essentially take a game away from somebody, you really would call on somebody like Irma, because he has that kind of innate ability to find a way. And again, once he had that goal, once it started touching, as we said, if it touched Ben White, if it touched Tomiyasu, if it touched Gabriel or Saliba, it was only going one place. It was going firing down the field. But again, in itself is a defensive art form, because you're keeping the ball away from as far away from your goal as possible. I struggle with kind of sayings and whatnot, but you can only do as much damage when you've got the ball. If you've got the ball, the opponent can't hurt you, and if the opponent's got the ball halfway down the field, definitely can't hurt you.
Definitely not. And Irma
sounds like the words of Pep Guardiola right there.
That's where I get it from. Can't hurt you.
Does. But 3 points for Irma, 100% record so far, Seba. Cannot complain. He's living up to the billing so far, and I think I'll leave it up to the Boffins, but he's in a very, very strong spot. It's a very good place.
We're back to the Boffins again, are we? Yes. Well, I can tell you, I'll put on the Boffin hat. He is sitting pretty at the top with 6 points. So yes, things are looking very good indeed for him. It seems as though he's probably going to be our first finalist to be confirmed going into the grand finale later on, but it's still, of course, all to be decided. However, unfortunately for MelianTheKing, it looks as though he's going to be walking away empty-handed. He still has 0 points on the board. It may be a little bit too late for him to actually get through, but you never know. We could see there could be a late shout. Last chat saloon for him with his final game.
Put my boffin hat on.
Oh, right.
And Irma not qualified yet. And
Right, I didn't say that, by the way. I said nearly there.
My point I was going to make was that Axe still has a role to play.
Right.
So Irma still has to play Usmakabyle, who is 3 points behind. Axe obviously then plays against our friend that we just saw, an incredible player in MelianTheKing. So Melian, despite the fact he can't qualify, can still decide what happens elsewhere in this group. So
everyone still has a role to play in determining how everything pans out elsewhere. Let's take a look at what was been going on in the mobile group. There have been 2 matches. We didn't have the opportunity to talk about match 3 before, so we can do it very quickly now. But actually, they were both 1-0 victories, very, very close. Tomboy took the first victory between those two, and then DennisBernard managed to pick up 3 points as well. So if we take a look at what that means for the group overall,
oh wow.
in terms of points, actually, it's identical to what's going on in console right now. But it's tasty indeed. It's very, very intriguing to see how this all pans out, because I believe Mr. Tomboy is the only player in this group, much like Irma, who has picked up 2 wins so far.
Yep, that is correct. That is correct. And again, you talk about layouts of groups. It's going to come down to, as we said, it was going to come down to these final games on the live stream. And certainly these 2 games that we have coming up, or at least the next game that we have coming up, which is Mr. Tomboy. He has got 6 points to his name.
And DennisBernard, who just won his game as well, the last 2 winners in a row. So.
Yeah, and the problem is, you normally would go, well, he's got 6 points, he can take his foot off the accelerator. It's like, no, he's got to put his foot down now and really take that game away. And again, we're looking there as well, and we can see just to the side of us, we can see the results and fixtures. But certainly, it's going to be an interesting tale on mobile. As much as you quite rightly said, it's kind of almost mirrored what we're seeing on console. So it's going to be a very interesting finish to at least the group stage. Of course, not to mention the fact we've got 2 grand finals yet to be decided. So that is going to be very interesting indeed. Well,
it's getting down to the wire. Just how we like it, of course. Those of us who are neutrals anyway, I'm sure all of you who are watching, you'll have your respective players that you follow and that you are certainly rooting for. But let's find out then who is going to be headed towards the grand finale. We still have 2 more matches to go in the group stage for mobile and console. We're headed back over to mobile once more, and it's going to be Mr. Tomboy taking on DennisBernard.
Straight into it, Wes. Thanks as always to Semra getting us to this point, looking after us. We cause trouble up here.
It's like watching family members argue with one another between you two. It's as a younger sibling of 3.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to see, and there are echoes of my own home. It really is.
It's great fun, and I think something that a lot of people at home don't realise, of course, is that we do like to make it difficult for each other. You know, we're always trying
There's
to
always roughhousing.
Always roughhousing just to try and trip each other up. But to focus on the game we have at hand here, Mr. Tomboy, who has been just fantastic so far. You look at his performances, I mean, incredible. Coming up against DennisBernard, who we tipped to be one of the favourites based on his accolades, but did start off slow today against Lamtti. Now is in a position very similar to the console group stages, where he kind of needs a win here to be in a position to challenge for that top spot, at least with it, to keep it within his own hands. Otherwise, he does need some results elsewhere to go his way, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I'll simplify it for you.
Please
Mr. Tomboy must not lose, and he goes through. But DennisBernard must win to put himself in the conversation. Of course, a draw leaves it open to results elsewhere, which again, when you're at the final game of the group stage, it's not where you want to be. You want your own destiny to be in your own hands.
Well, that you do. And destiny is about to present itself to the entirety of the Arsenal FC Club event finalists. As we're into the final heat of the group stages, only 2 of our 4 from each platform can participate and contest for the title. Later on today is Dennis Bernard in the grip of Arsenal. That yellow, well, it's defined as yellow and blue in the game. I think we'll just go with yellow.
Yeah, it's a strip that has, I say, divided a fan base. To some it's green, to some it's yellow. We'll just call it the second strip.
He'll be attacking that left-hand goal, and it is Mr. Tomboy from India in the home strip with that blue cursor. Things much simpler for him, and well, Thomas Partey here can maybe poke home the first goal. 15 minutes in, and it's our group leader taking destiny within his own hands here. 1-0.
Yeah, it's a great start. Again, it's a bit of fortune though. You can see just doesn't quite get the right side, as we'll see the ball again here. It's a great ball there, but the defender, it just shows a little bit too much, and then as a result it leaves Thomas Partey open. And again, it's a really cultured finish from a defensive midfielder, which you wouldn't, as we kind of alluded to earlier, you don't normally want defensive midfielders in that neck of the woods, shall we say, but certainly finished with aplomb.
We've seen it a lot today, haven't we? Jorginho getting in those types of areas. You have Declan Rice popping up every now and then. It's always fun to see exactly the personnel, the tactics that vary not only from player to player, but from platform to platform. And it does seem to be those DMFs that are getting in those areas with those chances. But credit to Mr. Tomboy. Today, he has been pretty darn good. And considering the way you simplified it, avoid a loss and you're into that knockout stage match as we take another look at that cultured finish as you described it. I mean, a goal goes a long way. I mean, you have that buffer. You know now if you concede, hey, I'm still in a position where this result is good enough for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's it. It's getting your nose in front early in a position where you know that you can take the game away with just that goal. Because again, if you kind of revert to type of the game plan that we've been seeing, the minute it touches your back line or the minute it touches your defence, you clear it away immediately. But I don't think we're going to see that from Mr. Tomboy. And of course, you cast your mind in terms of themselves and how they're feeling. Of course, friends and family will be watching these games and willing on their respective players.
The man who's a goal to the good is coming forward again, as that had to be dealt with by Ramsdale. The friends and family just adds that extra layer of pressure, especially coming into that final heat with everything to play for. You know, 1 or 2 missteps can go from misery to jubilation and vice versa. For Dennis Bernard, he's one that we tipped with the accolades behind him. National champion of Indonesia back in 22, and then went back-to-back in 23. The Indonesia Football E-League champion as well in 2023. BGWIB Junior Games 23 champ as well. So has that experience, has the accolades, but we'll have to see, Wes. This is last chance saloon type of scenario for him here, because he needs some kind of result to even allow the possibility of featuring in the final later on to present itself to him.
Well, you're leaving it up to potential goal difference is what you're really leaving it up to here, is that if you cannot walk away with at least a point, he's going to leave it up to potentially a result in the other game that's on, and then we're hoping for that. Of course, there's still time to go in this game, but as we know from mobile as well, you know, strength to say, you can just see to the left of your screen just how tight it is in the mobile group. That is how close it is if this result stands as it is. So that is a live table. Of course, that can certainly change if goals go in.
Well, if things stood as they were, Dennis Bernard would be relying on FIREWOLF to do him a favour in the other game, no doubt running concurrently to this one. Because that goal difference, as you pointed out, Wes, he's below his adversary, who's in that second place conversation. So for all those accolades, for everything that's happened in the past, Dennis Bernard now knows he needs to win this second half just to give himself a chance, just to be in, make things a little bit more difficult for the other side of the group, for the other heats that's, or rather the other game that's happening in this heat. It's so close on the mobile platform. Just to make it to the knockout final as we're underway in the second half. It's Dennis Bernard who kicks us off in the second strip of Arsenal. The home strip is donned by Mr. Tomboy of India, who has been flying here.
Well, there is a big difference psychologically between having a game where you know that you need to win and a difference between knowing that you need just a point. And that is what is now presenting itself to the other half of this equation, is that if the result stands as this, it only requires a point in the opposite game for a qualification.
Well, Ben White's cross was a difficult one for the defensive goalkeeper to communicate between them, but they do get it done. Havertz to the feet of Jesus, who I think was coming back from an offside position. You're just joining us, of course. This is still the group stages on the mobile platform. The thing that's at stake is the chance to play in the knockout final later on, which will be the top two placing players with the most points at the end of the group stages, once all the tiebreakers and so on and so forth have been looked after by our boffins. But if you win that knockout final, you join the likes of Futi Facil from Brazil, representing Barcelona, Raul Fabiano from France, representing Bayern, Calahard from Mexico, representing AC Milan, Takaki from Japan, representing Inter. That's on the console side, and then on the mobile we have La Casa, Talanousui, Joyboy, Goo Games,
all there already. Yeah, you're quite right. It's as I think I said in the last finals that we did for the inter-club finals. It's a real eclectic mix of nationalities and cultures, and there is a quite a sizable melting pot brewing in Tokyo in July.
Yes.
So it'd be great to see another person added to that pot.
The attendance for this match was 71,898.
Well, the hour mark has been and gone, as have the subs. We're in a position now where we need to see some action from Dennis Bernard. Signs of life, maybe, as the cross comes to nothing. Havertz around the corner to Jesus. Back to him now as he stayed onside. No. Good idea, but just came a second or two late. The longer this game ticks down, the longer and more comfortable Mr. Tomboy will be feeling. Has some defending to do now, though. Smith Rowe to the feet of Havertz inside the box. Jesus cannot be fed in that scenario. Havertz back heel to Jesus, back to him, lots of space, tries the 1-2, not sure if that was the right option.
And a lot of green grass in front of him there to run into. He tried to play the pass back.
Jesus, Emil Smith-Rowe, Gabriel Jesus now has Gabriel covering him. And with 10 minutes to go, the ball is in the hands of Ramsdale. As long as the ball remains at the feet of Mr. Tomboy in the home strip, or up at this end of the pitch, the happier he will be. Jorginho. Havertz. It's Dennis Bernard just fighting for his life here. Has to be good on this attack. Jesus with the double touch and the stunning strike, but too many red shirts to try and get that ball around. And you might think, Wes, that one will be the final action. There was a pause queued up, so we'll have just a little bit more time for us to consider exactly what's going to happen here. But one thing's for certain, Tomboy has done the business here in the group stages.
Yeah, and he's needed to. He's needed to. Yes, we said at the top of the game, it's a must not lose. He's kind of gone above and beyond that. And I think for Mr. Tomboy, it's the right move. If you are in form and you are playing well, you then don't want to maybe drop a gear, because especially going into what we now know will be him in the grand final of today's mobile platform, you want to be in form, you want to be cooking, you want to be just ticking over to the point where you know how your players are performing, you know how your players are reacting, and you'll know the game plan you want to put in there. The only thing you may get, though, and I'll put this one into the mind of Mr. Tomboy, you may get a slice of complacency because you rolled through competition, and you may think to yourself, well, if I've beat them all, then actually I'll probably just beat the person in the final, when it's not as simple as that.
Especially when you bring into extra time, penalties into the equation.
Exactly, and that's where that mentality and that psychology comes into it, is for him to say, okay, if I've won the group stage, or if I've topped the group stage, okay, let me close that chapter of that and let me move on to the next bit, rather than going, well, that's the story of the day. You've still got another chapter to look at.
Well, 1 foot in the final, but you're right, Wes. You do want to warn against complacency, because you've not lifted a trophy yet. You've made it a possibility. Quite a high probability, but you still have to execute. Sadly for Dennis Bernard, I think now he waits and has to see exactly what's happening elsewhere, because Mr. Tomboy takes the 3 points, 1-0. A 100% record in the group stages. I may be wrong in saying this, but I believe the last player to do that was La Casa for Barcelona. Unless Talanoussoy in Bayern was able to do it. I mean, we have
such a long season, folks. We do try and keep track of all of these stats.
So long season and strong players across the board. It's very probable that we could have had someone else, but one thing's for sure, an incredible group stage performance here. The question is, can he continue on to the knockout stages?
Well, that's it. You need to keep up that winning mentality. You need to keep going at the rate that you are comfortable with. But like we said, can't now go into that mobile final with complacency. He needs to go in and go, okay, now I'm in the grand final. Now I'm in a knockout where I can't lose. You know, he could have easily walked into that game and gone, oh, I'll just try and play for a draw.
Yeah.
And he would have been fine. But actually, he's gone, no, I'm going to keep up that winning mentality and I'm going to keep going. He now needs to go on to the final, win the final, and then he can relax a little bit and say, okay, I'm going to Tokyo. We remain to now see, because of course in the way that the fixtures or the schedule works is that whilst the mobile game is playing, there is a console game playing. Whereas now we'll have to hit these two players. We'll now have to wait and see, at least from Mr. Tomboy, he'll see who his opponent is for the final game. But Dennis Bernard will now have to look and see whether he'll get through after the final set of fixtures.
Mr. Tomboy's beaten everyone, but he still has to win one more game. That's the big thing.
Job's not finished.
job's not finished. I suppose we could say the same for Irma as well, because he's looking to follow suit with a clean sweep of his own, because he's going to be up next in that headliner, in that blockbuster mega clash of Titans against Usmakabyle. So watch this space. More is to come in just a moment, but why don't we continue to talk about what happened in mobile and just maybe cast our eye as to who might be joining Mr. Tomboy, because as it stands, Lamtti, 1 win for him, Dennis Bernard, 1 win for him, FIREWOLF still yet to put a big W on the leaderboard here. He's up next, however, so we could have a 3-way tie.
Boffins.
Actually, yeah,
Let's get the boffins in.
No.
But I tell you what, as of right now, in terms of goal difference,
there's even a potentially,
it would be Lamtti, wouldn't it?
But even with that, you've also got the fact if FIREWOLF wins 1-0 and then all of the players are tied on points and goal difference, it goes down to goals scored. So FIREWOLF might actually creep up and take that spot.
That would be something, wouldn't it? Because it's been very low scoring so far today.
Especially on the mobile side, absolutely.
Well, on mobile side,
mobile side, yeah.
Mobile side in particular is what I was referring to, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, and that's the kind of the peril that now comes with it, is that with one of the tiebreakers being that if points and goal difference are the same, but it goes down to goals scored, FIREWOLF actually has an opportunity here to maybe steal one.
I will say as well, with how fast-paced and quick the games can go by on the mobile platform, 1-0 is quite a likely scoreline.
So
yeah, it seems to be the case, isn't it?
Glad we got the boffins, that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Those tiebreakers are coming in very, very handy over the last couple of club finals that we have witnessed here. So it's certainly all to play for within mobile, even though there's only 1 game left on.
How we like it. Okay, when it comes to console, this is the table. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, if this is actually correct, because the game that was underway is still underway. So we don't actually yet know what the result is for match 5. We're still waiting to find that out. So whether this is actually a live table or not, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know.
I'm going to make an
So it's going
executive.
to be trying to work things out. But what we do know, at least, is that Irma does have those 6 points. MelianTheKing does have those. And it looks as though he is going to be the first one to be headed home. What's going on between Usmakabyle and Axe? Well, we're not quite.
I think what we do is we take an executive decision here and we camp this out until we've got that result. I think that's what we do.
I think we have no other choice.
I think it's very fair that both us in the studio and the guys at home certainly find out what happens with that. But I think
because imagine Usmakabyle comes out on top. That means that we go into this final round with Irma and Usmakabyle level on 6 points. Let's say that Axe wins. He gets those 3 points. Then all of a sudden, Usmakabyle is in a pretty disadvantaged position going into the last.
Yeah.
He's on the block there. But if it's a draw, well then, I mean, it's still not ideal, it's not great. It certainly does give a bit of an advantage to Irma, for example, but...
Yeah, it's exactly that. There's so many different ways that this can go, because again, the game that is currently, well, that we're waiting for the final result on it is Axe versus Malian. Whereas, so for example, if Axe, as you said, if Axe picks up the point, it means that Usma can get away with drawing.
Right.
If Axe wins, it means Usmakabyle's got to go into that game and beat
Listen,
Irma.
both of them
so
just need
ways.
to go in and win.
Yeah,
I mean, let's just put it that way.
I wish they could make it simple, but they don't. They don't make it simple for us. They don't. They have us work on all these scenarios, and unfortunately, we have to explain them all.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Don't make me
between
use
Usmakabyle and Irma?
Don't make me use the B word again.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold that thought, because we've got the results are in.
Okay.
There we go. It's updated finally there.
There it is. Axe. Hold up, bear with us. It's changing. It's changing. I think, is this set in stone now?
Yes, so I believe that's getting updated.
Axe won 3-1, I'm being told. So there you have it. Axe is actually on top because
goals scored.
Goals scored. Wicked. Did not see that one coming. Okay, Irma, same amount of points. That means Usma's got some heavy lifting to do in this final match.
Usma has to win.
And MelianTheKing is obviously out.
Yeah, Usma has to win. Irma can get away with a draw.
Axe, by the way, is in the finals, yes or yes.
Yes or yes.
So that means it is now down to Irma or Usmakabyle. We did say it was going to come down to this one to ultimately be decided as to how this whole group... We said it was going to come down to the very end, to the very bitter end. And I have a funny feeling it's going to go even all the way down to the final whistle. It's going to be that close between these two. Harry's processing.
Harry's in disbelief.
Harry's just processing.
We just need to put him in a
bubble.
bubble for a minute, let him get his thoughts.
What's in my head right now? I would not want to be going into a match against Usmakabyle knowing I can take a draw.
Oh, yeah,
that's the mentality you cannot have against Usmakabyle. And Irma, I need to see how he starts this game, which luckily is our last game on the stream for the group stages. It's drama across the board. You can't go in accepting a draw is enough against Usmakabyle. You have to attack him. You have to go at him.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. There's no quarter given, especially when you know what's on the line. Not only do you secure your place in the platform final of the console, but you can knock out a player of Usmakabyle's ilk. It's just, there's too much there to gain for Irma. But of course, if again, a player that you really don't want to back into a corner is Usmakabyle. You just don't want to back him into a corner.
The flip side of that is this is Usma's third attempt at qualifying, and now he has to win this game.
Right.
This is a must-win game for Usmakabyle. Otherwise, he would have gone 0 for 3 at the club event finals.
Ooh, it would not have been his season if that's the case. Yeah.
It's a
that's a tough one.
That'd be a very tough one to take.
Well, listen, it's going to be high octane. It's going to be a thriller. It's going to be epic. I have the feeling, based on the way that these two have been, getting us ready for this one. It is the headliner for the group stage. It's going to be Usmakabyle versus Irma. Enjoy.
We just knew, didn't we, Wes, that when we saw this as our final match of the group stages, one way or another, one of these two is going to be featuring in our final. We said it was a group of death, but these were the two we had our eyes on. We did not expect one of them to have to take out the other, to essentially step on the other's head to get there. Thanks, of course, as always, to Semra. But our focus entirely is on these two and on this match. Irma theoretically has the upper hand going into it, but there is no upper hand going up against Usmakabyle.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I think there was a reason why we almost deliberately stayed away from talking about this game as the ball goes through on goal here. It's Harry Jesus.
Oh, there's a real chance for Jesus, and that's smartly down to his right for Ramsdale.
There's a reason why we deliberately stayed away from this game, because the names involved kind of almost sell this game on its own. Yeah, we didn't need to talk about Irma versus Usmakabyle. We always knew it was going to be a good game, but we didn't realise just how much is going to be on the line for these two.
I'm standing up for this one, Wes.
I will join you, happily.
Corner swung in. As Usmakabyle knows, he does need those 3 points here. Will be, if I'm correct, which I believe I am now, the red cursor and the second away strip will be Usmakabyle.
Yeah, from left to right is Irma, from right to left is Usmakabyle.
And it's almost unfathomable that we could be potentially seeing Usmakabyle not qualify for the World Finals. Things stay as they are. As things stand, he would be out in the group stages, but look out for Irma now. Trossard. Oh, Ketia was there. Rice will try and recycle for him. Don't blink, people, as Rice feeds in Ketia. The first time ball to Jesus is met only by a defender. But Usmakabyle, man's legacy speaks for itself, but it's a legacy he wants to keep building. These are the types of legacy games you have to win. Irma, though, has a legacy he wants to build of his own. Odegaard with the 1-2 to Martinelli. Oh, across the floor to Jesus, and that cross-come shot there from Jesus was only ever going wide. No one able to latch onto it. With the ball through for Gabriel Jesus, but we did say coming into it, Wes, you cannot go into this type of game against Usmakabyle knowing or thinking that a draw is enough. I only
It's just me and you, baby.
Now that's so much better.
Not just better. Awesome.
Galaxy A55 and A35 5G with the awesome camera. Don't just take photos, make photos.
saved by David Raya. A very strong chance for Irma to really pile on the pressure. And I think it signifies that he understands exactly the point that we were making, Wes. He needs goals here. Seems counterintuitive. But to defend against Usmakabyle, you have to attack.
You have to, and you have to make those types of chances pay as well. Such is the tension, the drama that is filling the studios.
Oh, that's a great one too. Martinelli's touch lets him down. Ramsdale quick to it. We've seen just shades of that from Usmakabyle quite a lot today. Since that 6-1 win against MelianTheKing, we didn't get to see it off stream, but that was the first heat. Coming forward with Party. Odegaard again, just a lack of sharpness exhibited so far, and now Irma can break. Gabriel defends. Something to keep an eye on. We're so used to Usmakabyle, even with his previous clubs he's represented in this competition, has been so sharp. Lethargy is not the word for it, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Smith Rowe, Trossard on the ground towards Jesus. The knock-on unsuccessful. It's been attritional. It's passed the eye test so far as the Romanian. 5 to go till half-time. You just sense the nerves. Sense what it means for these two. Martinelli.
Good read. Really good read there.
Seems to be a late flurry. Maybe brewing for Usmakabyle, but it's Irma with the ball back. Trossard looking to hang one up towards Nketiah.
There will be 1 minute added time.
Both players wanting that final attack of the half. Looks like it might come the way of Irma if the referee allows it to. Sadly, no. And it will end as we retake our seats, Wes.
Standing room only at this commentary desk. It certainly is.
It's 0-0 as things stand. Irma, he's through to the final. But you almost think he needs a goal at this point. It seems so crazy to think, but you just can sense the heartbreak maybe on the horizon. The longer this is 0-0, the longer Usmakabyle still has a controller in his hands. You just know what he's capable of.
That's the thing, and that's the thing. It's a case of the game is not done. There's normally moments in the game where you think, well, that's enough, that's done. The reality, though, is that the game is not done, essentially, until Usmakabyle says it's done. That tends to be the kind of the rule of thumb. with how we're seeing them defensively, or how we're seeing Irma defensively play, it's a case of he's getting bodies across of Martinelli and the kind of the dribblers within Usmakabyle's team. He's getting them across them with super cancelling running, which kind of allows you to almost kind of just manually move your player in the way that you want them to. And critically as well, we're seeing crossfield balls from him as well, trying to, as you said, hang it up towards Nketiah.
Well, second half underway, it was Usmakabyle who got us back underway, but he's given the ball away, and Jesus with the strike. Oh, it's off the frame.
What a moment that could have been.
How costly that giveaway could have been from the restart for Usmakabyle. Irma has looked very sharp in this game. Declan Rice just being patient, and as you say, Wes, as long as there's something to play for, you bet Usmakabyle is going to play for it. That's how he's created his reputation. It's how he's earned his World Championship titles, his many accolades.
I would say he's the eFootball boogeyman, but that would be a little. I'd say he's the eFootball boogeyman, but that would be a little bit of a disservice to him. He's more like the eFootball Babe Ruth. He's not a person that is shy of these opportunities and shy of these moments. And it'll take one gilt-edged opportunity for him. That's all it will take for Usmakabyle to take control of this game.
Still just always fascinating how, as we take a look at this chance that rattled off the frame, it's those quick chances that we see from Gabriel Jesus that both platforms are trying to utilise. Havertz, Martinelli, not for the first time his touch lets him down.
Anywhere will do.
Crossfield ball finds its way to Odegaard. You can see those knockdowns for Irma seem to be the order of the day.
They're certainly leaning on the agility of Gabriel Jesus to get those knockdowns. You'd say physically, supremacy normally is with Arsenal's backline. You talk about Ben White, Gabriel, Saliba, Tomiyasu. They've all got that physicality about them to be able to win headers up against the likes of Trossard and Martinelli. They're seemingly doing that at will for Irma, but Gabriel Jesus seems to be winning a lot of headers down the stretch here for Irma.
Real chance. Trossard floats one through towards Jesus. You can almost, oh, that's so dangerous. You almost feel the concentration radiating from these two here. An incredible game we're seeing. It's just, as I said, the concentration. You can feel it coming through the screen. You can feel it from these players.
If we're this tense here, yeah. I can only imagine what it's like for them at home.
You can see it from Irma how switched on he needs to be defensively. We are so used to, in iterations of this competition in the past, and just in general as a trademark from Usmakabyle, he loves those cross-field balls, switching the play diagonally. Not for the first time we've seen Irma switched on to get a man across manually over to that man, make it difficult for Usmakabyle. Don't let him play his game, but essentially disrupt his game plan. It's what you have to do. You can't let him settle into a rhythm. With that being said, though, it's still 0-0.
Yeah, it's still 0-0. There's still time on the clock. There is everything you could possibly be thinking of between these two. And as we said, so long as there is time on the clock, the dynamic of this group can change wildly. It really can.
Absolutely can. Of course, we're still waiting to see who will feature in the final of the mobile platform. We will be joining Mr. Tomboy.
I'm sure our production team will be all over it. I would not be surprised if we see confirmation during this game. It may just break the tension for us on the commentary desk.
Well, look at these red shirts forward. Martinelli wanted to find Jesus, but well, those red shirts have stayed up here. That's a bit of a lazy ball towards Jesus. Headed on towards Kai Havertz. There's some tall men on the pitch now for Usmakabyle. He's given something to chase, and oh, who knows where that could have gone. Here's the group table, and well, look at that. It is FIREWOLF who makes his way to the final. Havertz, though, oh, he's taken down just outside the area, and there's so much information to process here. But what is important on what we're seeing on our screen is that Irma has a free kick in a very similar situation that he was able to score against MelianTheKing earlier. Martinelli back to Jesus. Not as simple this time.
It certainly had it scouted. Just to clear it up, just for that brief break in play here, is that FIREWOLF has made it through to the mobile final alongside Mr. Tomboy on that tiebreaker that we mentioned about goals scored.
Yeah.
It just took, well, by the looks of things, it took 1-0, which is exactly what we kind of maybe predicted was going to happen. And now FIREWOLF has now got a date with Mr. Tomboy after the conclusion of this game. Of course, this game still has permutations for the console group. And like we said, it is so, so tight. And that is a live standing, and don't adjust your set. If it does stay like this, Usmakabyle is gone and will not be in the console final. Of course, a goal the other way, or a goal for Usmakabyle, takes Irma out of it. It's unbelievable.
That is how tight it is, and Usmakabyle did set himself up incredibly well with that 6-1 win against MelianTheKing. That goal difference is...
It's an extra point.
It's his best friend at this point. But has to get the ball back and has to score, and Jesus is...
तो आज क्या प्लान है? Ads देखेंगे.
वो भी back to back.
तेल, फिनाइल, मसाला.
साबुन टूथ.
Has wriggled free in the box. Martinelli was waiting. Well, just a bit of chaos created there by Irma. Usmakabyle with a potential break, but Smith Rowe is so quick to close down.
Such close, tight marking from Irma. Every time there looks to be a pass that's going to be distributed, it appears to just be a man just all over the ball carrier.
Ketia. His pass unsuccessful. Time is ticking down here. Usmakabyle, we've said it so many times, he's inevitable. He's in the box now with Trossard and Havertz. Oh! Oh my!
I thought that was it. I thought he broke it down there. It was a good block in the box. We'll see it again here. It's good build-up play by Usmakabyle. Slides it across. Havertz is there. It's a great block by Saliba. As you can see, it is action cam on us here. It really is, because we just... It's so close to call, and there's, what, 5 in-game minutes left here.
It's just one goal Usmakabyle needs. Back post towards Nketiah. Defended by Gabriel.
That'll do if you're Irma.
You would definitely think so. Territory-wise, Usmakabyle, I think, will be quite happy as well, because he knows he can put the pressure on and he'll win the ball back as well. One goal is all it will take. Defensively, Irma has been so switched on. To Usmakabyle's half, but somewhat of a waste, and this will take some time off the clock as Zinchenko has to give chase. 2 minutes added on. It is now or never. And what a ball that is to Trossard. Who's he looking for here? It's Havertz! Oh my word! Usmakabyle is inevitable. He's done it! One goal is all it would have taken. And it came at the last kick of the game, Wes. Virtually the last kick. He scored with Havertz.
It's heartbreak for Irma. It's jubilation for Usma. Again, it was really well worked down the left-hand side. It came very kindly here to Kai Havertz. Slotted it into the corner with not long left. As you can see the reaction by the pair of us, because it's been so tight. It has been so tight throughout the entire game. And it's the perfect time to score. There is no time to recover. There is no time. And as you quite rightly said, he's inevitable. As I said, as long as there's time on the clock, he will keep fighting. It doesn't matter to him what avenue he's down or what cul-de-sac it looks like he's trapped in. He will find a way out as Usmakabyle. He is a magician.
And do not mistake my reaction for disappointment. That is just pure empathy and heartbreak for Irma, because you can see in the group table, after leading it the entirety of the day, he won his first 2 matches, Wes. Now faces heartbreak.
To get 6 points in a group stage and still go out is a feeling that I know too well. To get 6 points and to have your goal difference taken away from you.
Yeah.
I think it was a PES League back in 2016 or 17 that I was competing in with a couple of notables in Eldridge O'Neill and Lamtti in their group, in the group stage, in what was a group of death that day. I got 6 points that day and went out due to goal difference. And that I empathise with Irma here, because again, you've took 6 points in a group stage and still gone out. There's nothing more you can do.
That is just absolutely unbelievable. We're back underway, and time is not on Irma's side. It has to go forward. Havertz.
No.
Martinelli back to Jesus.
No.
And Martinelli again! He's back!
This is insane.
Back from the dead. It's Irma!
This is insane.
Absolutely unbelievable. I am down on my knees. He's done it!
That is insane. That is absolutely insane by Irma. Last kick of the game. We thought it was done. We thought he had no time. He went into added time of added time. I mean, you could even talk and say maybe the goal celebrations of Usmakabyle's players have then added onto the clock. It's absolutely unreal here.
The ice in that man's veins, knowing it had to go forward. It had to. That is unbelievable.
What are we doing? What are we doing here?
And it's... As the referee blows the final whistle,
I'll go applaud the pair of them.
Another chapter in the book of Irma that we are in the front row to witness him writing. He's in the final.
I can't, but I need to take a seat. I need to take a seat. I need to sit down. That is absolutely unreal.
I mean, what do you say?
Well, I don't know. I'm dumbfounded. I am literally... For the first time in a good while, I am actually lost for words. Like, you can actually... I don't know. We'll just need Semra. Semra can fill for like 10 minutes.
I will say, not to be the bearer of bad news and be negative, he holds himself to such a high standard, as do we.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to be nothing but disappointment.
I mean, the key separator between those three, or the three events that he's qualified for this year, and again, he probably won't like me for saying this, but the key separator this time is that he hasn't made the grand final. He made the grand final against Footy for Seal and lost. He made it against Galahad and lost. He's now not even got out of the group. And again, you could say in whatever which way you want to slice it, we genuinely thought that, you know, and that was the reason why I empathised with Irma, because I was like, there's no way. There's no way that there's going to be an extra chance here for him. And I genuinely thought, yeah, it had perils of my own experiences of 6 points and going home. And then out of nowhere, I mean, we saw this and we thought it was done. We literally thought it was done. But it was these extra celebrations where you'll see it here, where the animations of, oh, well, all of the players will come on and celebrate with the manager. And we always say it's a minimum of 2 minutes, or it's a minimum, because, again, those time can get added on for celebrations, substitutions, you name it. And then just, again, the resiliency, the mental strength of Irma to come back and take an additional goal after being, what, 20 seconds away from elimination? Had Irma been able to clear that ball, the referee blows up, full time's done.
Just reliving it, because it feels like a fever dream, even though it happened maybe 2 minutes ago.
A wonderful finish.
30 in-game seconds, Wes, away from featuring in the final was Usmakabyle. 30 in-game seconds away from being dispatched from the competition for Irma, and then that's just how close these club finals have been. It's been the same at every single event, and Irma stays alive. Job's not finished.
I'll tell you who wins predictions, though. Semra, because Semra went, it's going to come down to the very last kick.
It did.
And it did. It absolutely did.
It's only fair that we
we've got to bring her back in.
Our mystic host back in, Semra. Unbelievable. What a call. What a call from
Well, thank you very much. I will say I'm not the only one with mystic powers. We'll come to that later on, but Wes, you also nailed what happened in the other group. But let's focus on what we just saw there, Console. Irma versus Axe. I mean, sensational, absolutely sensational. The only draw of the day. And I believe it was you who said, no, Irma, he can't go in with the mentality of getting a draw. He has to go for the win. He thought he was going to get a draw in the end. He thought it was going to be really, really good. But then for Usmakabyle to come out swinging, to get that late goal in extra time, injury time, and then all of a sudden, Irma to say, nope, not today, my friends.
Just chaos.
I mean, it really couldn't have been any better than that. I don't think we could have scripted any better way to finish that particular game in the group stage. It really was magnificent stuff. So it is well poised then for a great final between those two. I'm really looking forward to that one, but we'll come back to that later on, because up first for the grand finales, we have the mobile. So let's talk about what happened there, because what did you say before? Let's just rewind the clock based on anybody who may not have been here a little bit earlier. But what Wes said was, if memory serves me well, FIREWOLF, he didn't have a win, but he still stood a chance. If he got the win, it'd be a three-way tie. Then all of a sudden it could come down to goal difference. But if they were all skill level on that, then it could come down to goals in favour. Well, guess what, my friend? That's exactly how it played out.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Genuinely, when we saw the result come in, because we were so engrossed in what we had seen on the console, that we didn't really kind of fully appreciate FIREWOLF's abilities. Because again, the fact that he's been able to come off of the canvas, he was fourth.
Can I just say this? I mean, look at this. 3 games, 1 win apiece, no draws, 2 defeats apiece. This is the only difference, the only separator, 1 goal, because they all have the same goal difference and they all have the same points. I mean, it is unbelievable how you have to score even when you don't win. It is so important you get as many goals as you possibly can.
It's beautiful because it was decided by a goal on the mobile platform, and then, as we just saw, was decided by a goal.
Yes.
Either way, it was decided by a goal with Irma and Usmakabyle. I mean, that's just how close these club event finals have been. It's been pure drama, cinema, entertainment.
It
I love
has.
it.
It really has. It really has.
It's lived up to the building, yeah?
It's not over yet. It's not over yet. We've got to somehow mentally and physically recover to go and call 2 platform finals now, which again you may as well take the coin out and flip it, because it's anybody's at a knockout game. It really is.
Okay, so very quickly, let's get stuck into what we might see then between Mr. Tomboy, who had a clean sweep of victories, 9 points, the only player, the only finalist today that managed to go into the grand finale undefeated. He takes on FIREWOLF, who snapped it up at the very end. Would you have to say that maybe Tomboy might be the favourite, the heavy favourite going into this one?
Definitely heavy favourite, especially when you look at the head-to-head. I will say, though, that was actually, this is going to be a rematch of our first match we saw on the stream. It feels like a lifetime ago, I know, but the result then was 2-1 to Mr. Tomboy. So just, again, 1 goal in it.
And that was a last-minute winner, if my memory serves me correctly, as well.
I think you're right about that, yeah.
There's certainly some narrative there to go on. I think if you're looking at the form book, you would say, of course, Mr. Tomboy, overwhelming favourite. But again, FIREWOLF may just take a bit of confidence from the fact that he snatched, a grand final place. And we've seen it before, players that just sneak in and then sneak in again at the final stage. So I think this has got a bit of intrigue, and I think first goal is the most important goal of their day in this final.
A little bit of dark horse energy potentially going into this one. All right, well, I know that the players are ready. They're very much excited for this because a huge opportunity awaits for them. Whoever wins this does not only just get that trophy, they are going to represent Arsenal FC at the World Finals in a few months' time. So without further ado, for the grand finale for our mobile platform, it's going to be Mr. Tomboy versus FIREWOLF.
Well, thank you, Semra.
We just need to get our breath.
I'm just trying to figure out exactly what just happened.
Chaos. It's beautiful chaos is what we've just seen. But from both platforms, might I add.
No doubt this, our first of 2 finals, will give somewhat of a similar result, because now we're into our finals. We need a winner, we need a result. Draw, no good for us here. We have extra time and penalties waiting for us if we still need to split the difference at the end of 90 minutes. Let's put a spotlight on our finalists here. Mr. Tomboy, we'll talk about him first because he's demanded that satisfaction. 100% record, 9 points from 9, heavy favourite. He's our Asia West regional winner, 25 years old. Funnily enough, has kind of gone under the radar up to this point. There's only sort of won local eFootball tournaments back in India, but he was looking to make the leap to the international stage. So far, so good.
Yeah, he's made a big splash already, in terms of being able to come out and say that he's gone undefeated today. Yeah, it's a great thing to have, or that you've not dropped points is even better. But to come out and say you are the mobile platform champion for Arsenal, it is a little bit of a different thing, and that'll be something he'll look to hammer home here. And again, it's going to be that line of, is he complacent, or is he professional enough to go, this is the job I need to do? And more importantly, from the other side of the fence, FIREWOLF, can he continue and potentially take another win at the most opportune time?
Well, wasting no time, we're underway. Tomboy in the home strip, near side, looking for... Oh, an early goal! And he's done so! He's found it! It's as if he had a map and compass. Straight away, not for the first time, he's come out, scored an early goal. And it could be the most valuable of his on the day, as he opens his account here in the Mobile Grand Final.
It wasn't a map and a compass, it was GPS. That was laser-like into the box. Again, neat little back heel, but again, strictly speaking, you talk about intelligent play. It drags the defender back so that at no point can any of the attackers be offside in the box. I very much enjoyed that one because it's so quick and it's so dynamic in terms of the ability to put that ball into the box. And again, it allows your runners to go wherever they please because
well, that's one way to introduce yourself. I know we introduced him, but I think he's introduced himself. We can now talk about Zheng Hao Chen, who is better known as CNFC-FIREWOLF. Not the best start for him, but I think he'll be very happy with his progress so far. Was in the Allianz a couple of months ago, was featured then, but sadly couldn't make it to the grand finals of that particular event. He's here now in the knockout stage grand final. Is one win. His back's against the... Now, what can he mind Mr. Tomboy that... Oh! He's an adversary worth keeping an eye on because this will actually be a corner from that threatening cross. Odegaard towards Havertz, who knocks it on, but Ramsdale is able to gather.
I think the good point, or the good thing, if there is such a good thing of conceding for FIREWOLF, is that he's done it early. So there's time to be able to reset and maybe think, well, it's just a flash goal. It wasn't something I was taking too much care of or advantage of. The problem, of course, though, it does give Mr. Tomboy every bit of confidence going into the latter stage of this game because he knows that he's already inflicted some damage already on FIREWOLF.
They expect most of the same game plan from Tomboy that we've seen up to this point. Really keep the territory in FIREWOLF's half, make sure that ball stays in play, just with how quickly that in-game clock will tick here on the mobile platform. Great ball to Martinelli. Now, who's he got in support? Saliba for company, and Jesus has risen highest, and Nketiah keeping it alive! Tomboy 2, FIREWOLF 0. Our Asia West regional winner has scored 2 in the first half. Doesn't look like he's done yet. Neat finish in the end.
Yeah, he kept the ball alive after it was a decent save from the header. We'll see it again here. It's a decent save, but it's popped up very, very kindly. Just kept alive enough. And it's Eddie Nketiah that sweeps it home for 2-0 and really puts Mr. Tomboy in the driving seat here.
Tomboy 2, FIREWOLF 0. It has given FIREWOLF quite the mountain to climb here. Now a mobile grand final. Ooh. I think this one has been flagged for offside, has it? I wonder if that had trickled in, whether or not that flag would have stayed up.
It certainly would have been some controversy if it had gone up and it had ended up in the back of the net. 23 in-game minutes gone here. Mr. Tomboy has a 2-0 lead and looks very, very comfortable. It's almost like he's put the slippers on, he's put his feet up and made himself right at home in this mobile grand final.
Potentially time for a breather. As Mr. Tomboy wins the ball back. Really able to step back and assess the situation. Half an hour gone in our grand finals. Has a 2-goal cushion, which is the mobile platform. Very valuable. Smith Rowe is first goal, so important. Tomboy introduces himself instantly, 15 in-game minutes later gets another. And I think you are justified in that statement, Havertz and Jesus. Combination's not quite there so far in the first half for Firewolf. Havertz spread wide to Ben White, stunning cross to come in, can't beat the first man. Corner though. Got a shout from the defender, but 2 minutes added on, and just how quickly that clock ticks away in the mobile. You have to say it's probably going to be the last attack of the half here. Can Firewolf half that deficit? No, the referee calls proceedings to an end as far as the first half is concerned. Mr. Tomboy, he's been spotless, he's been faultless on the day. Looks like he's going to go undefeated here today unless Firewolf has a response here in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look as though that complacency has crept in as we thought it may do. Certainly has kept that professional head on his shoulders and has been able to put his best foot forward. 2 goals in the first, 23 in-game minutes. Has very much taken this game completely away. You can see there as well the almost defensive setup is now employed. It's now gone back to kind of, let me just protect this lead, and as it should do in these types of environments, especially when, as you can see there, he's built a brick wall of players. He knows what it means to be secured, is that he knows that he'll have a game plan. Certainly feels like he has a game plan for when he's winning, he has a game plan for when he's drawing, he has a game plan for when he's losing. We haven't seen plans B or C yet, because plan A seemingly is the one that works.
And this was the opener. Introduced himself perfectly to the occasion, and as things stand, Pavan Campelli, aka Mr. Tomboy, would be our second representative from India. After Joy Boy representing AC Milan, Mr. Tomboy, again, as things stand, would be the second representative from a nation that prior to eFootball coming to mobile hadn't really had a lot of success in mainstream eFootball in years in the past. It's great to see that nation really rise to the top now. And he is just 45 in-game minutes from raising that trophy you see at the bottom of your screens.
Yeah, as we've mentioned, in terms of India, in terms of their prowess within the sports world and their fandom for their players of the sports world, they certainly carry that fandom, as we'll see in Ketia running forward, but they will certainly carry that fandom into the World Finals as well, knowing that there is an Indian, or at least more than one Indian representative, if the result stays as it is, in that World Final in Tokyo.
Some good shielding there from Nketiah, just ticked off away about 5 in-game minutes. Trossard now though for Fire.